Deep in a quiet, sprawling wood, where pine needles made a soft carpet on the forest floor, lived a small bear cub named Barnaby. Barnaby was a dreamer. While the other cubs were tumbling and wrestling until they fell asleep, Barnaby would sit at his window. He didn't just look at the night sky. He studied it, imagining each star as a tiny drop of spilled light from a giant celestial paintbrush. Most nights, he would pad softly out of his den to a special clearing at the edge of the woods. From here, the sky opened up like a giant storybook. He knew all the constellations by heart: the Great Bear, his distant cousin, the swan with its elegant wings, and the hunter with his sparkling belt. He loved them all, but he secretly wished he could add a story of his own to the endless, beautiful night. One evening, a flicker of light where no light should be caught his eye. It came from an old, fallen log, so ancient it was more moss than wood. Drawn by a deep curiosity, Barnaby tiptoed closer. The light wasn't the warm yellow of a firefly, or the cold white of the moon. It was something else entirely, a soft, silvery pulse that seemed to beat in time with his own heart. He peered inside. There, nestled in the heart of the log, were 3 paintbrushes, but they were like no brushes he had ever seen. Their handles shimmered like captured starlight, and their bristles were made of something soft and fine, like threads pulled from a moonbeam. As he watched, they let out another gentle, silver pulse. They were magical. He could feel it. With a trembling paw, Barnaby took the smallest brush. It felt warm and alive in his grasp. He looked around for paint, but found none. Then he saw it, a small puddle of water, holding a perfect reflection of the moon. It looked like a tiny pot of liquid silver. Taking a chance, he dipped the very tip of the brush into the moonlit water. The bristles shone with a brilliant light. Barnaby's heart thumped with excitement. He looked up at a dark patch of sky between 2 old constellations, took a deep breath, and with a gentle flick of his wrist, he painted. It wasn't a line of silver that appeared. It was a perfect, curving trail of brand new stars, each one a tiny, hopeful twinkle in the vast, velvet night. He laughed, a happy, rumbling sound that echoed in the quiet clearing. It worked. He was painting with starlight. He dipped his brush again and again, his paws dancing on the grass. He painted a glistening fish leaping over the horizon. He painted a sparkling honeycomb dripping with sweet, starry nectar. He was finally adding his own stories to the sky. But as he painted, he noticed something happening. The moon, the great, silent lantern of the night, began to shine brighter and brighter. Its powerful, silvery light flooded the sky, and one by one, Barnaby's beautiful, delicate star pictures began to fade, washed away by the moon's overwhelming glow. "Oh no," he whispered, his paintbrush drooping. Then, a voice that was not a voice, but more like a feeling, filled his mind. It was soft and ancient, like the light it came from. "Little painter," whispered the moon, "your stars are lovely, but my light has a purpose. I must light the paths. For the night wanderers, I must help the owlets see their branch, and the lost fawn find its mother. Your beautiful art is covering my light." Barnaby looked at his brush, then back at the moon. He had only wanted to add beauty to the night, not take anything away. He understood what the moon was saying. The forest needed her light, but his heart ached to paint. He sat for a long time, the cool night breeze ruffling his fur, wondering if there was a way for a little bear's art and the big, beautiful moon to share the same sky. He looked down at the ground, where the bright moon cast his shadow. a dark patch on the illuminated grass. And then he looked back up at the sky. There were dark patches there, toother, empty spaces between the stars. A new idea, as quiet and gentle as his first star, began to form in his mind. What if, he thought, I don't paint over your light? What if I paint where your light isn't? He picked up his brush again, this time with a gentle, respectful purpose. He found the deep, dark pockets of the night, the quiet, forgotten corners of the sky, and there he began to paint again. He painted a gentle, twinkling river that flowed through the darkness, connecting to lonely star clusters. He didn't try to outshine the big stars. He simply gave them a beautiful, sparkling path to follow. Down below, in the darkest part of the woods, two little mice who had lost their way looked up. Above them, where there was once only blackness, now hung a tiny, glowing acorn made of stars. It wasn't bright, but it was just enough light to show them the path back to their cozy burrow. The moon saw what Barnaby was doing. She saw how his quiet art was helping her light reach even the darkest corners of her forest. Her bright, overwhelming glare softened into a gentle, motherly glow, and she sent down a single, silvery moonbeam to wrap around the little bear like a warm hug. They had found a way. They could share the sky. The moon would provide the grand, sweeping light for all to see. And Barnaby would fill in the quiet spaces with gentle, guiding pictures for those who needed a little extra help. They were painting together, and so this became their nightly routine. Barnaby would wake, collect his moon brushes, and wait for the moon to rise. They would give each other a silent nod, and then their quiet work would begin. The night sky became their shared canvas. Night after night, the sky filled with Barnaby's gentle stories, a sparkling spiderweb to guide a lost beetle home, a trail of glowing paw prints leading to a patch of sweet berries, a soft, shining feather to remind the birds of their cozy nests. The animals of the forest grew to love Barnaby's stars. They knew that his light was not for showing off, but for helping. His stars were a quiet promise that even in the darkest places, there was a gentle light to guide you home. As the first hint of dawn began to soften the edges of the night, Barnaby would feel a familiar sleepiness in his bones. His work was done. He would carefully return the brushes to their hollow log, giving them a grateful pat before they went to sleep for the day. Then he would trundle back to his own warm den. He would snuggle into his soft bed of leaves and moss, his little body tired but his heart full. He was no longer just a dreamer who watched the stars. He was a star painter, and as he slept, he would dream. He dreamt of floating among his own creations, drifting down the sparkling river of stars he had painted, with the gentle, silver light of the moon watching over him like a loving friend. He had learned that the grandest beauty often comes from the quietest collaborations. A bear and the moon, a painter and his canvas, a bright light to guide the main path, and a soft light to comfort the shadows. The forest was awake now with the busy sounds of the day, but the magic wasn't gone. It was just sleeping, waiting for the sun to finish its own journey across the sky, because Barnaby, the little bear who painted the stars, knew that every night was a new, empty canvas, just waiting for a story, and he couldn't wait to wake up and paint again. One night, as Barnaby was carefully painting a shimmering new constellation of a dandelion seed head, he heard a soft rustle. A small, shy fawn, with spots on her back like a constellation of her own, stepped timidly into the clearing. She didn't seem to notice Barnaby, but her eyes were fixed on the sky, watching the new stars appear one by one. Barnaby stopped painting and sat very still, not wanting to frighten her. The fawn, whose name was Willow, slowly lowered herself to the grass nearby. They didn't speak, but they didn't need to. They simply sat together, two quiet souls sharing the wonder of a sky being filled with gentle light. After a while, Barnaby did something very gentle. He reached out with his paintbrush and lightly tapped one of the white spots on Willow's back. For a moment, the spot glowed with the same soft starlight as his paintings. Willow looked down in amazement, then back at Barnaby with a look of pure delight. From that night on, Willow would often join Barnaby in his clearing. She would be his quiet audience, his first friend to see the new stories he painted in the sky. Barnaby learned that sharing his art made it feel even more special. And so the star painter was no longer lonely. He had the moon as his partner, the forest as his reason, and a dear friend to share it with. And every night, before he trundled back to his den, he would paint one last, tiny, sleepy star, a goodnight kiss for the beautiful, dark, and wonderful world he called home. The nights grew longer and cooler, and the scent of autumn began to drift through the woods. The moon rose a little earlier each evening, and Barnaby found he had more time to paint. The sky was a vast, dark ocean, and he loved filling its quiet depths with his soft, shimmering light. But one night, something different filled the sky. Not stars, but clouds. They were not the soft, sleepy clouds the cloud shepherd herded, but thick, heavy clouds the color of a wet stone. And they rolled in silently, swallowing the moon and his stars one by one. For a moment, Barnaby's heart sank. His canvas was gone. But then he looked at the soft, grey underbelly of the nearest cloud. He wondered, he lifted his brush, and instead of painting on the sky, he painted on the cloud itself. A soft, silvery light spread across the grey surface, like frost on a window pane. He painted his familiar shapes, the acorn, the river, the sleeping cub, and the clouds became a giant, gentle lantern for the whole forest. The light shone down, soft and diffused, pushing back the deep shadows and making the woods feel safe and cozy, even without the moon. When he was done, he sat back, tired but proud. He had learned that even when his canvas was taken away, he could find a new one. Even when the darkness seemed complete, his little light could find a way to shine. As a soft rain began to fall, carrying tiny specks of his light down to the forest floor, Barnaby knew he was ready for a long, peaceful sleep. With a giant, sleepy yawn that ruffled the fur on his cheeks, Barnaby made his way home. The air was crisp and smelled of damp earth and coming winter. He was so tired, his paws felt heavy, and all he could think about was his soft, warm bed. Painting on the clouds had taken all of his energy. But when he pushed aside the fern that covered his doorway, he saw a wonderful surprise. There, waiting for him, was Willow. The little fawn had taken shelter from the misty rain and was curled up on the softest patch of moss in his den. She looked up and blinked her big, gentle eyes, a silent welcome home. Barnaby was so happy he could have painted 1,000 stars right there in his den. Instead, he shared his supper. He had a small piece of honeycomb he had been saving, and for Willow, he found a stash of sweet, juicy berries. They ate together. In the warm, quiet glow of his firefly lamp, the sound of the rain a gentle patter outside. The rain continued to fall, too heavy for Willow to travel home safely. So, Barnaby bustled about, gathering all the driest leaves and softest moss he could find. He built a cozy, warm nest for his friend right next to his own bed, making sure it was perfect for a peaceful night's sleep. Soon, the two friends were snuggled down in their beds. The sound of the gentle rain outside and the soft, rhythmic breathing of his friend beside him was the most comforting lullaby Barnaby could ever imagine. He had started his journey feeling all alone in the world, and now his heart felt so full it could burst. He closed his eyes and drifted into the sweetest, most peaceful dream. The days grew short and the world turned white. The time had come for all good bears to sleep. Tucked deep in his cozy den, Barnaby began his long winter slumber. He dreamed of star-filled nights and the gentle face of the moon, his magical paintbrushes, resting safely, waiting for the return of spring. All winter long, he was not forgotten. Willow, who did not sleep through the winter, would often visit the little den. She would clear the snow from his doorway with her gentle nose and leave him little gifts, a piece of sweet bark or a sprig of winter holly, a quiet promise that she was waiting for her friend to wake up. Then, one day, a new warmth touched the air. The sun stayed a little longer in the sky, and the snow began to melt, drop by silent drop. A deep, sleepy stirring began in the heart of the forest, and deep within his den, a little bear cub began to stir, too. Barnaby awoke with the biggest yawn of his life. He stretched his sleepy paws and blinked in the bright, unfamiliar light of spring. His den felt cozy and safe, but a familiar longing pulled at his heart. He missed his canvas. He missed the stars. He padded outside into the fresh, clean air and went straight to the old hollow log. As he approached, a soft, silver light pulsed from within. The brushes were awake, and they were waiting for him. He picked one up, its familiar, magical hum a welcome feeling in his paw. And when he turned, another wonderful sight greeted him. Willow was standing in the middle of the clearing, her tail wagging. They greeted each other with a happy nuzzle, two friends reunited after a long, quiet winter, ready for a new season of nighttime adventures. That night, they went to their special spot. The air was warm, and the sky was a clear, deep velvet. With Willow watching beside him, Barnaby dipped his brush into a puddle of fresh spring rain, and with a joyful flick, he painted a magnificent butterfly, its starry wings fluttering silently across the night. And all across the forest, the creatures who were waking from their long sleep looked up and smiled. The star painter was back. His gentle stories were once again filling the quiet spaces of the night, bringing comfort and a little bit of magic to their world. Barnaby looked at his friend, then up at the moon, and then at the sparkling stories he had painted across the heavens. He had learned that his special gift wasn't meant to be kept to himself. It was meant to be shared, to bring light to the darkness, and to make the world just a little more beautiful. And he knew, as he sat there under the smiling moon with his best friend by his side, that he had found his true purpose. He wasn't just a little bear who dreamed of the stars. He was Barnaby, the star painter of the Whispering Woods, and he was finally, peacefully, home. And now, our dear friends Barnaby and Willow are fast asleep, dreaming of starry skies and the quiet rustle of the forest. I hope you're feeling sleepy, too. There are so many more magical adventures and sleepy friends waiting for us in the world of dreams. If you'd like to join us for another story, ask your grown-up to tap the subscribe button so we can all meet here again. Until then, sleep well and have the sweetest of dreams. Good night.